haven't drawn dragons in quite a while, so this video is going to be a little iffy, but basically I'm going to be drawing a Nightwing, Sandwing, and a Seawing, and also with like different angles and how to draw like the talents and everything. And so I'll leave the sections down below if you just want to look at a certain section. But this video was requested by AnimalFan55 on Wattpad, and so here you go. Like always, I start off with like a simple circle. This helps define how to lay out the head and how big you have to make it be. And so I always usually do the basics, just the outside of the face first, and then I'll go in and make the eyes. And usually you kind of like want to keep it at a certain angle, make sure you're doing it that way. Usually when you have the outline of the head already made, you just have to go and add the extra details, being like the eyebrows and like adding any distinctive features that make it a Nightwing. So it's really simple if you do that. And this is for another angle that's not a side view, more like kind of like a frontal view. So these are usually pretty tricky. You have to you need to pick a side that you want to do the head on to show the most. So once you have that kind of down, you'll be able to make the eyes, and then it helps you keep it to where you need it to be. Always you want to start with the head first before you add the neck or anything, because if you don't have the head down, it's just going to make it a lot harder for you to add the rest of the body. And I'm not really going into much detail with like the distinctive features because you can add that on your own. But yeah, you just want to make sure you have the head first before you add any extra details, or you just wasted your time doing all that. So this is for the Sandwing. I'm just basically erasing, because like mainly it's the same thing except for I'm just adding like the fin that they have. I don't really know what it's called, but yeah, it's not basically that hard to add that part of it. It's pretty easy. But when you're adding like any like horns or anything, you want to make sure it has a round feature, because if not, it's going to make it look flat if it's not rounded, and it doesn't look as nice. So when you're doing that, you want to make sure you kind of give it a round surface and not just straight. But as you're going down the back, you have to make sure you to give it more to make it more realistic, you need to lessen it as you go down. For a Seawing, this is just a very quick sketch, but basically when I'm drawing it, I'm doing the exact same thing, just a side profile. You want to choose which side you're going to draw for a kind of like a side front view. It's as simple as like Nightwing's sake. After you have the whole head, you can start adding the details of the eyes and everything. There's really not much to say other than like, as stated, you want to make sure you have like a round, and you don't want to make it flat or it won't look as realistic. So once you have the head done, you can go on to drawing the neck and the rest of the defining features. So as stated before, don't add the details until after you have a nice head that you are comfortable with, because if you start adding details while you're drawing the head and then you don't like it, you just wasted all that time drawing it. So for the full body, you just want to have like a plain outline to start with. That way you know where you want what you want everything to go. So I'm not going to really go into much detail for the head because we've already pretty much done that. But so it's pretty like a easy sketch. So then you'll go on to the neck and everything, and you want to make sure that when you're doing the neck, you don't make it too flat. You want to kind of like go up more of where it is, and it's kind of like aligned with the eye and everything. Because if you make it too flat, it's not gonna look nice. Front legs are pretty easy. It's basically just going down, and you want to like have the chest area. You want to make sure it's like well defined, making it bigger in the front and lower in the back, because it's like the stomach. The legs are pretty hard to make when you're doing it up like that, but for the back legs, you like most animals, you want to make sure it's got that curve, and you want to make sure the we all know like the importance of this. Just going quickly over, when you're doing legs, you want to make sure it's like straight, because you don't want to have the back legs shorter than the front legs. So it's pretty easy to make sure, just to draw a line, just to make sure you have both legs that are straight on the ground. But I'm pretty sure most people already know this. And as for the wings, they're connected to the front legs. Just a nice bone structure for that. And it's kind of like done in two parts. You have that bottom part, and then you have the three other bones that give you the sort of like wing. And for the it's kind of connected to like the front part of the underbelly, so you won't see the top part of when you're drawing that. You'll just see the underbelly. And then we all know what a tail looks like, not going to go much detail into that. But as for the talons can be pretty tricky, but I like to start off with like a nice base. And I do the back talon and then the middle talon, which kind of like shows you want to keep them nice and straight. And this will help you make the other two talons next. And it's basically, I just do 3 talons. It makes it simple. 1 middle and then 2 on the side. Then you can add detail into that if you need to. Kind of like giving it that roundness, and then adding like stretch marks or whatever you need for that. Just making sure, you just want to make sure those two are aligned together. And then if you're adding webbing for like sea wings, you'll just add the middle bit in the middle. And there you go.